Welcome you guys to Bombshell1111 Podcast, Speak on the Series. I'm Keya and I'm your host. I also have my co-host here with me tonight. Ladies, introduce yourselves.
Shontae, I'm a holistic fertility doula as well as a family coach, and I'm also a podcaster, parenting and wellness.
Hello everyone. I am KiannaD, your host of Mask Off, Crowns On, as well as your confidence and mindfulness coach.
Hello everybody, my name is Ashlee and I am your empowerment leadership coach. I am Ratchet to Righteous.
Thank you so much, ladies, for introducing yourselves. So tonight, you guys, the topic is going to be focused on trauma in minority groups. So thank you guys so much for joining us, and we're going to go ahead and jump right in. Trauma changes families as they work to survive and adapt to circumstances and environments. While this adjustment may be smooth, for some, for others, the stress and burden can cause them to feel alone, overwhelmed, and less able to maintain vital family functions. So tonight, you guys, we're going to just discuss different topics that kind of like go around or cater to trauma within the minority families, the minority households, minority groups. And to kick us off tonight, Shontae is going to start off with speaking on the topic of absent fathers in the households.
Hey guys, yes, I watched a awesome TED Talk by a woman named Natalie Alexander. She's a mental health professional. And so she talked about the importance of having a father inside the household. Having both parents in the home promotes a healthy and cognitive and learning development. She spoke about her father, who was physically there but not emotionally available, which led her to seek love and security, which is something only her father could have provided, but she sought it outside. Sons of absent fathers Sons of absent fathers makes them not accustomed to male authority and male accountability. Having a daughter of an absent father promotes lack of self-acceptance. Natalie believes that as a community, we can facilitate a healthy interpersonal relationship between father and children, the same way that interpersonal relationship between mother and child is encouraged. Natalie provided a way to heal from having an absent father, such as identifying that you're suffering from your absent dad. If your dad reaches out to you, hear him out, just being open-minded about listening to why he chose not to be there. For dads that are absent, it's not too late to show up for your child. And I came across an awesome resource, which is fatherhood.org. Fatherhood.org have workshops on fatherhood skills, on fatherhood skill building trainings, and they have various different programs. They also have programs for moms to help them understand the importance of dad involvement, since there are some moms who refuse the dad to see the child. I also offer co-parenting coaching to help families with those goals and accountability. For I myself have 2 different co-parenting situations, so I could totally help in that area.
Thanks so much, Shontae. Do you guys have any feedback on that topic, Ashlee, Kiana?
That it was accurate. Excuse me, everybody. That it was on point and accurate. I did have my father present. However, when she just said the emotional part, he was there definitely physically. And my dad is very caring dad to a certain degree, but some of his emotional time, he wasn't there. So I can see, reflecting back on my own life at times where I was seeking outside validation, not knowing that, that's what I needed in the moment, not knowing that I needed my father a little more emotionally present.
Mm-hmm. 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 Ashlee, you have anything on that? Ashlee? Okay, guys, I don't know if we lost Ashlee here, but we're going to keep on going. Yes, Kianna, I totally agree, because I am a single mom as well, and I have 2 daughters, and I think that's really, very vital with children across the board. But for me, for my girls, because having that involvement emotionally is important. So when they start to develop those intimate relationships themselves, they can know what real love is, what proper love is, and things of that nature. So yeah, I totally agree with that. On that, thank you so much.
And I just want
for that,
before we switch segments, also tell when especially amongst our boys, black boys, because again, they're not having that structure of someone, again, like they just said, being that accountability. So now they have all these testosterone, all these emotions, and they're acting out. I want to really, and I really use the word, but you know what I'm saying. Give guidance,
Yeah, totally agree. Welcome back, Ashlee.
I'm sorry. I just lost connection.
It's okay. You're back and you're right on time, because we're going to jump right into your segment, which you're going to be discussing racial trauma, which I think a lot of people can definitely identify with. So, Ashlee, you can go ahead and jump right in.
Okay. Hi, everyone. So I found an amazing article from Medical News Today, and it talked about racial trauma. And it said racial trauma is an ongoing result of racism, to racist abuse in the media. Racial trauma can affect many aspects of a person's life, including their ability to have relationships, concentrate on school or work, and to feel safe. Racial trauma is a widespread among a lot of groups, that is particularly true among African American people in the United States, the majority of whom says they have experienced racism. Media deceptions of racism, such as police violence, armed people, may also trigger feelings of racial trauma. Many marginalized groups experience higher rates of post-traumatic stress disorder than white people. Much of this trauma stems from experience with racism or racist systems. According to a 2002 survey, African American people in the U.S. are about 5 times as likely to report discriminatory experience with police officers. Discrimination can be a very traumatic experience that can cause similar symptoms to PTSD, as well as depression and anxiety. Exposure to discrimination, either directly or indirectly, can trigger these racial traumas indirectly and can include witnessing discrimination against a member of a particular group.
Yeah, that everything within that article I can totally see and agree with you guys. Just with George Floyd situation, and then the aftermath of that up until the verdict, and even after the verdict of George Floyd. So Kianna, Ashlee, Shontae, do you guys have any feedback on that topic?
Just that, again, is very much true. We see it every day, unfortunately, and that's really a generational thing, especially among us African American people, because of the fact that we've had to endure it for so long, and so now it's become a limit to belief at this point, or blocked, for some of us, because again, now we can't have those relationships, with other groups outside of our racial groups, or again, like I say, not being able to focus because you have this PSTD or whatever the case may be. constantly losing jobs because you're angry and you don't know why. It's just the evidence shows itself in many, many ways. And again, by us healing and talking about these things, hopefully we'll all get the help that we need, so that way, you know, it still won't be as bad of a trigger, you know, because again, we know who our counterparts are, we know what we're dealing with, but now we have to still figure out how to heal our community as a whole, so that way we won't continue to ruin our lives and our families and our generations because of it.
Yeah.
Right. And you know what, like that, it's sad because like now it's like this unspoken tension between Black people and white people, you know, and it's like you almost don't even, like, everybody is offended, right? And so it's like, you know, you guys are in a line at Walmart and it's like the slightest regular general human interaction of maybe bumping into somebody, something, and I was like, oh, she bumped into me because she's Black, oh, she bumped into me because I'm, you know, because she's white, you know, and like it's so frustrating because at the end of the day, you know, during judgment, there will be like, okay, Blacks over here to the left, whites to the right, Puerto Rican people in the center. Like, no, like, you know what I mean, or whatever. And it's like people find that hard to understand. And also, not to get all like conspiracy or whatever, like the government loves for us to be separate. And so, like, you know, continue naturally. This is why like the media is pushing, yes, we are being killed and beat up and everything or whatever, but they're pushing it so much because they want to make it seem like, continuously making it seem like Black people are bad, white people are good, white people have to, you know, do this. Like it's so frustrating, you know, the division that's happening. And but yeah, you know, like that article was like so on point. I just think about, you know, I'm raising a son, you know what I mean? Like Ashlee and I, we have sons, and I'm thinking about, man, like when my son becomes 18 and he's excited to drive, God forbid he like, you know, drive in a white town, you know, like what's gonna happen? And it's crazy to think that my thought pattern is the same thought pattern a mama had when in the 60s and the 50s, like, you know, and the only difference,
it's
and the only thing has changed is that
on all levels, even for them being minors, because you see now, you see it happening in the younger generation for little kids. I've had my kids come home and even express to me of matters that have happened, and they're able to recognize it at a young age. So it just shows that even if us in a home, because I don't speak or teach my kids, you know, about not liking someone because of their skin color, but I also teach them that, hey, everyone is different outside of this home, so what to expect. And when you have kids that are able to recognize it in formats that we haven't even really put on them, just goes to show what society is, like you said, pushing on the generation, even as far as when it comes to, you know, you do see a lot of great African American people on the rise doing things. The system still finds ways to segregate us with a lot of different things and avenues. And, you know, us as African Americans, even if we've never experienced it directly, but when you feel trauma, like, I'm looked at as this way, or I'm looked at as that way, you know, it sits on you. And like you say, I think it's just something that's going to have to, I don't think we will never fully find completeness to it until the more of where the problem started from becomes the change, because we can do our part, but it takes both sides. And it's not just for African Americans and Caucasians. I know that's the main one they spoke on, but it also happens in, you know, with Mexicans and Asians and all of those other cultures, you know, as well. Even down to what people belief systems are. You have people that are stereotyped. So I think if we just stop in a hole judging and love, like God says love, then we will, as people, really see transformation.
Absolutely.
I totally agree.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And as Michael,
yeah. I'm sorry, Kiana.
No, I was about to say, as Michael said, we got to start with that man in the mirror. Like she said, it's not one side, it's not just the blacks and whites, it's each and every single one of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree, because my daughters are, 13 now and 9. And, my daughters are biracial, and they have already experienced some of those types of things, because being in a school where it's more predominantly African American and Hispanic, and them being lighter, they've had issues with that. And it's sad, because you wouldn't think that they would even think to have those types of things going on now. At one point, my oldest daughter didn't even want to go to school because of it. So it is really important and I also had to help her understand, once they get older, as you were saying, Ashlee, it's important to also teach them not to hate, but to also understand what's to be expected. And so I had to teach my oldest and my youngest that even though you're biracial, the world, when they see you, they're going to still see you as African American. I have to make them understand that. And I didn't realize that more so until now that they're getting older and becoming more independent.
And that's good you're teaching them that, because people don't realize, and biracial kids get it just as worse.
Yeah.
Because they get it on, sorry to say it, when I was growing up, I used to get bullied and picked on for my dark skin, and it didn't come from sometimes outside race, it came from my own race. And I'm like, wait a minute, when we apply for jobs, we all check African American. They don't say, are you dark skin, light skin, or whatever. But then when you have a biracial kid involved, they get it even hard, because they get it on both sides. And it puts them in a position where they feel like, well, where do I really fit in at? Because if I'm over here, I'm not accepted because I'm too light skinned, or I'm not fully this. And then if I'm on this end, I'm not fully this. So it's even worse. And I just love how you're teaching them that now, because I've seen it happen. I have family members that are, like you say, biracial, and parents get brutally talked about so terribly, like, oh, is this your kid, and why is this? And I'm like, oh my God. And that's when I recognize they get it just as worse.
Oh yeah. I've had that experience where we would go places and people would ask me, are these your daughters? Why? Because I look different than them. But if you look at me, you could tell that they were my daughters.
I was about to say, not when y'all triplets. So what in the world?
So yeah, and it's just crazy, because the world thinks different. But you don't experience it until you really experience it. But we're touching on good topics, and that kind of leads into our next topic with Kianna, which is on children and how trauma affects the child's brain. So Kianna, you want to jump in?
All right. So I found an article about how adverse childhood trauma affects a student's brain. Again, those who have listened before, I'm a teacher as well. So I'm always trying to find things that's going to help my babies. And so, according to the article, trauma and stress can alter a young person's brain functions, impacting learning, causing behavioral problems, and igniting a cycle of violence, poverty, sexual abuse, food insecurity, and home instability are just a few factors causing brain-altering stress for our nation's kids. The National Survey of Children's Health reports that nearly 50% of the children in the United States have experienced at least one or more types of serious childhood trauma. Understanding trauma and its impact on young learners help educators better serve the emotional needs of their students and help trauma survivors thrive in classrooms. Students who have experienced trauma can have difficulty managing their emotions or self-soothing when stressed. When faced with a consistent flow of stress chemicals coursing through the body or reliving traumatic events, a child can fail to learn how to calm themselves down or regulate sadness or fear. These emotions can manifest into deeper or more long-term mental challenges such as depression, PTSD, self-hatred, guilt, or shame, or the emotions can burst outward into rage, anger, trembling, hyperactivity, or mood swings. Having learned that the world is a dangerous place where where even loved ones can't be trusted to protect you, children are often vigilant and guarded in their interactions with others and are more likely to perceive situations as stressful or dangerous. While this defense posture is protective when an individual is under attack, it becomes problematic in situations that do not warrant such intense reactions, according to the National Traumatic Stress Network. So, ladies, my question is, have you experienced these symptoms in your youth or even now? And what are some techniques that you use as parents to help with your own children?
Oh, yes. That's good.
Yeah. Well, my daughter, this is something that we just actually started doing, because again, I told you guys, and you guys are aware that I'm a single mom, and her dad, he's kind of in and out, and so I know how that affects her with me, having the work experience and mental health, and with us, doing podcasting and just the field of work that we do. So what I've had her start doing is just journaling her feelings. Starting Sunday night, and then throughout the week at the end of whatever day she chooses to kind of just reflect on that and pick one word from that she got from and just figure out what that means to her, and we can kind of talk about it, go from there. She is kind of like my mini me. So my daughter, she's really into like spirituality. So she started doing that, learning more about the Bible, learning more about Bible scriptures and how to implement those things into her life. And she's really beginning now to learn a lot about faith. So that's something that I'm starting to do with her, because I don't want her to have those emotional issues, because she's beginning her teenage years, and I don't want her to have that low self-esteem, and I want to also have a relationship with her where she feels as if she can come and talk to me about anything.
Absolutely.
So,
trying to create that now.
Yeah, that is
I love that.
Key.
Yes, I love that so much. Like my daughter also, like I'm also a single mom, and her dad is not involved in her life as well. And so there are so many different ways that we can see the trauma kind of like stirring up without actually hearing the words come from their mouth. Whatever, like like what this article stated. So I love, Keya, like that you're saying that, because I encourage my daughter to do the same thing, to journal, like to write it out, especially because that's what helps me. That's what I do.
Me too,
what I mean?
yeah.
Like I journal. I ordered a Bible study book for my kids and I, so we have Bible study once a week. And this past one was about surrounding yourself with people who also believe in Jesus Christ. And so she was like, my friend, both of my friends, they believe in Jesus Christ. I'm like, awesome. And I want her to be able to connect with other children, who also believe in Jesus Christ and who also probably are going through the same thing that she's going through.
Absolutely.
And because my dad was there for me, even though my mom was a single mom, but he was still in my life. I never thought that I would be raising a child whose dad is not there, but my son's dad, he is there. So that's hard for her, to see like, wow, his dad is picking him up. And so I, to try my best to like not let this situation be too traumatic. I make sure we have one-on-one time together, whatever. And, like just do like special things for her, because because he isn't there, or whatever. But right. I totally love this article. And I think about what my daughter is going to be like at 22 years old, and letting her know that God is there for you. Like, you don't need to go and seek anything, like seek anything else, trying to fill that void of your dad not physically being there. God is there for you. And I'm here. So that article was like, really, really on point.
Yeah, that article was on point, girl. And
And
I
that's
can
why I
tell
love
from
that I
being in a
had.
two-parent household, it was trauma from my own experience and seeing it with like my daughters going through her situations, like you say. Even though you have, I'll say this, even though you still do have that two-parent household, I know for me, I had my mom and my dad, and I got a lot of trauma because my dad wasn't there in certain seasons in a way that I needed him to be. So even though a parent is present, body form wise, does not still here like you may need them to be to groom you in a way, or so sometimes I know from my past life, at a young age, I always say jumped off the porch so early because I was at a stage where I was seeking attention, and my mother was just working and doing all of these things. So my way of, okay, yes, my daddy's around, but he's not really there like I need him to be. He's not really affectionate. He's not really, intimate in a way of, hey, daughter, talking to me. Everything for my experience with my dad was, I had to be right and perfect. You had to do it this way. You had to do it that. So it happens in different ways, even though you do have a person there, because some men are not equipped, not all, to really be dads or know how to be dads.
I was about to say they weren't taught.
Yeah, so even though they're there, they don't understand, they don't know. So even for me, as the woman I am and being married and having, so when I first had my daughter, I was a single mom, and going into the transitions of being that single mom to now, okay, now you full-time have that love, you have a dad in the home, it still leaves open wounds because it's a transition, it's different. So I've had to learn and apply, like you ladies both shared, the journaling. Something that's very important with me is that one-on-one time, making sure I set time to really talk with her, go deep and let her conversate, let her express, let her be who she is and share things with me and me not judge. And kind of have my guard let down a little bit to give her, like you say, that space to express. And then definitely God being the center and head at all times. And like you say, rooting them around friends that, hey, serve what they serve. A lot of, like you say, childhood issues come from where it starts. You surround yourself with certain people, it starts getting into your children. Exactly. That was something that also happened to me, being in wrong environments and, going with the people, not saying that they were bad people. It's just, it led me to start doing things that was outside of who I was truly being. So all of that builds up trauma, anxieties, and it almost puts you in a space of trying to figure out where you fit and where you belong, because you feel like, dang, I don't really feel fit with my friends, and then at home I don't really feel like I fit because my mom's working all the time, dad's here, but he ain't really paying me no attention. So all of that builds up hurts and can linger to your, and you have to kind of resurface and be aware of where that hurt and pain is coming from.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I know for me, I'm very much like you, as well as again, both my parents were in the household, but they were so focused on working and paying the bills and etc. and so forth that I was pretty much, just there, me, the TV, and
having get it like you get it, girl.
You know what I'm saying? And then when my younger brother came along, then it was me watching him while they was, working. And again, you grow up not hating them for it, because, they was doing what they needed to do, to put the bill, food on the table and et cetera and so forth. But as a child, you don't understand that. And so you left with those holes and gaps. And then for me, you all know my testimony of being, molested early by my cousin. So then I had that on in the background of my head, and I did not tell anyone literally until I tried to commit suicide. So I literally had that trauma just sitting on me, and on top of, again, not being able to emotionally express, what I was feeling. So to hear you ladies and the growth that you have learned and how you are instilling that into your children is absolutely amazing, because Lord knows little Kiana wish that somebody knew enough, back then to do the same for her. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
it's beautiful to hear. And then again, I still see it in the classroom today where there are parents who have not awakened to these lessons yet, who still do not know how to heal, again, their own traumas to help their children. So I see it constantly in the classroom, the hyperactivity, the anger, like literally just the amount of fights I got to break up all day, every day.
Wow.
They're always fussing and yelling at each other. Stop, I was saying this. And it's just, and as an empath and as a spiritual leader and a healer, it's so draining. Because I'm constantly trying to pour love, because I know they're not getting it from wherever they're coming from, because you can't be getting it and be lashing out as much as they do. So good job, ladies. Great job, ladies. Please keep it up.
You know what, Kianna? I was wondering if you could probably, I don't know how, because I know people are busy, how you could, somehow offer your service to the parents, or have a workshop, maybe have someone come, because something has to give, you know what I mean? Do some sort of workshop, make it right, force it,
like a parent
something, even if it's a parent and child workshop, and somehow get along or something, because we have to do something. It's too much.
Absolutely.
And that's a great idea. That's a really great idea.
That is.
About the resource, providing a free resource for the kids, which would ultimately help you within the classroom. So that's a good idea.
Right.
Absolutely. I'm definitely going to take it.
Look, apply it, girl. That resource, you never know. Sometimes people don't know how to ask for help. So maybe, you say, you initiate it. It may make them say, I might need to get it. And some parents, I'm sorry, some moms just don't think they got no problems.
Oh, yeah.
Hello.
I hate to say it, but that saying when you was growing up and your parents say stay in a kid's place, and you like, I don't know about that, mama.
That's
on this one.
Yeah.
Hence why we are here to help, hopefully provide you guys with some resources that will be beneficial to you guys, and information as well that can, you guys can be able to utilize within your households, within relationships. Guys, we just wanted to emphasize the importance of traumas within the minority groups, and to also, spread the message that trauma does need to start within the home in regards to healing. Ladies, is there any piece of advice you would like to leave with the audience in reference to trauma within minority groups before I close out?
Just don't dismiss your feelings, what you're going through. Again, if you're feeling the sense of always being angry, lashing out, having the shakes because of anxiety or whatever the case may be, let's really get down to the root. Don't be afraid to go out, seek help, use these resources that we're giving you. There are so many more out there also that you can look up as well. But it's time to take the cover off the mirror. Really look at yourself and say, hey, it's okay where I am, but I can do some healing. I can do some growth. And again, not only for yourselves, but for the next generation, for your children, and so on.
Yes, I love that. I just want to, again, share the resource, fatherhood.org. You guys can send it to someone that that's having trouble with just being in their child's life. It's not too late.
Ashlee?
I would just say start with love, as these two ladies said.
Pay attention, observe changes in your kids, even within yourself. If you don't feel you're like your normal self, be aware of it and
help.
Correct. So you guys, for so many minority groups, especially with having to practice social distancing due to COVID now, the need for I'm sorry, you guys, the need for vital resources has been more than clear. So I was able to find a resource to support not only just the Black community, but minority communities. If you have grief, you're trying to process or stand in solidarity, remember that you're not alone. I found this therapy group. Is called Inclusive Therapy. They're Inclusive Therapists, and it's a database to provide therapists with training for racial trauma and connect people of all identities, abilities, and bodies with culturally sensitive care. Therapists in this group network, they offer reduced free teletherapy options to ensure that people who have financial limitations do not get kept from pursuing care. The website is www.inclusivetherapist.com. Again, www.inclusivetherapist.com. And with that being said, you guys, that brings us to the end of this episode. Thanks for joining. We hope that you were able to hear something that was beneficial. If you enjoyed our show, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. Catch us on the next episode. And with that being said, always remember you're a bomb within your own shell. Peace, love, and light, you guys. Until next time, good night. What's up, Bombshells? Welcome to Bombshell1111 Podcast, Therapy for Women of Color. My name is Keya, and I'm your host. Generally, podcasts request donations, but I want you to show love by simply subscribing to my social media platforms by visiting my website at www.bombshell1111podcast.com. I want to see thousands of subscribers on this platform. Leave your comments and I'll show love by shouting you out on my social media platforms such as Instagram and Facebook. I want to thank you for your continued support as always. And with that being said, let's jump into this new episode. If you enjoyed this podcast, please make sure you subscribe so you're notified when a new episode is posted, rate, review, and share this podcast with your family and friends. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope you're leaving with some valuable information that can help you on your personal journey. Also, check us out on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at Bombshell1111 or at Bombshell1111 TV. You can also check out our mental health page, Your Health is Your Wealth, on Facebook, which is a page created to inform and support individuals with mental health and other health conditions. And with that being said, always remember, you guys, you are a bomb within your own shell. And until next time, peace, love, and light.